Hey guys, Rusty here and welcome back to the Projectile Warehouse channel. Today we are looking at something very basic, just setting up a sizing die. Now, say from the top, there are many ways to do this, and if you're an experienced reloader, you probably don't do it this way anymore. But this is the way that most manufacturers will recommend, as well as most of the basic reloading manuals will state this as the process. As you get further into reloading, you might refine this process with slight tweaks on it. But if you're just beginning, this is a really good way to have a solid, simple way that you know is going to work each time, that you can build on from there. Let's get into it. So this is our sizing die, and there's two things on the sizing die we need to set up. We need to set up how deep it sits into the press to make sure we're sizing the whole case, and we also need to set up the decapping rod inside. Starting off with the first part, I'm going to wind that die in there. I'm also going to bring up the handle all the way, and I'm going to wind that in until it touches the shell holder there. So I'm going to put some tension on that, and away we go. Put this little clamp here that'll allow us to tighten that up. That's pretty much where we need that. This is the part of the setup. As you get to know more and more reloading, you may tweak and change. By using the top of the shell holder as a reference point, you know that you're always going to have a consistent measurement that die is resizing the case to. The second part is the decapping rod, this part here. We want to set that to a depth that the pin is going to punch the primer out, but this isn't going to bottom out on the base of the case. Generally, that's going to be about 4 to 7 millimeters of exposure of that pin down there. And you can test it out. So I'm going to grab this first case, run some lube. I'm using the Hornady Unique Lube. We'll chuck that in there. Now what we're hoping is that that primer will drop out when we close this up. Let's see if it does. All right, not quite yet. So I just need to wind it down a little bit more. Let's go again. Primer's still in there. Now I'm being cautious, I'm going slowly. Now the primer actually now is slightly out, so I can't actually pull the case out and stuck in the shell holder. So we're almost there. So let me wind that out a little bit more. And that primer's come out. You would have noticed when we did that die up that the decapping pin rotated around with the die. Because it's threaded, it's not necessarily perfectly centered. We can accommodate for that. We're actually going to use the Resize brass that's in there to center that. We're going to undo this locking ring here, and that's going to allow that decapping rod just to float a little bit more. What we're going to attempt to do here is to bring the brass down the decapping rod and actually lodge on that expander button right there. That should, as best we can, have that centered so that the decapping die is straight to the brass. So I'm going to pull that through, and it's very much a matter of feel. You'll feel it will get a little bit looser first up. It's going to come on tension there again as it hits that expander button there. I'm going to pull through just a little bit so it's lodged on that, so now it's setting exactly where that expander button should be. I'm going to lock that one down, and now that is ready to resize. Now it hasn't bottomed out on the bottom of the case. We would certainly know about it. It'd be like a really stiff, I mean you're pushing against the brass with the rod if you were doing that. So that's why I work my way out to the point where it just pops out, and that should be resized exactly where I need it. If you are starting out, that is a really reliable way to do it. If you're not started out and you do it differently, leave it in the comments how you set up your sizing die. I'd be curious to read it. Thanks guys, I'll catch you in the next video. So let's get into it. Let's get it all